kind of on a whim. I was in the middle of doing a different video, and then I kind of got to this topic, and I was like, this is something I really did want to talk about, um, because I think it's kind of important to really like address this. So, as you can see in the title, it sounds weird as hell, but it is true. My dog did help me understand love to a better degree. So, I'm gonna first give you the backstory to how I got the dog, and it's a little further back than most people would think I would go for a story, but like, it's kind of important. So, I had just come out of like another hermit mode, which is crazy because I'm in hermit mode now, but I just come out of another one, and my best friend had kind of like just kind of like entered my life again. It's a weird story because like I always tended to like disappear. But I had a couple, but his best friends I had since high school, and he's gay like me. And we just had like, it was very funny because we actually realized that like we never wanted to date each other. Because we dated in high school for like, I can't even remember. I don't know, like, it was weird because I don't think we ever really dated. Because like, I mean, we did because we put a title on it, but it was like, even we look back and it was like, why? Because different story, different day. But he came back in my life because I have a tendency to just disappear over and over and over again. And I think like in the first week, like he's very different. Charlie's a Gemini, and I was like, if you don't know me, I have like a hard thing with Geminis and Aquariuses. Air signs, really, if we're gonna talk about it, but like I'm a water sign, so like it is what it is. But he is definitely more of the outgoing extrovert, and so on and so forth. And so I think one day I got off at like 8 o'clock at my job, and he came by and he was like, how about, I'm sorry, like I said, on a whim, a little tired, but like I said, so he came in and he was like, hey, why don't you just come, like, let me take you out so like you can learn how to be in society again. I was like, that's not funny. Like, I'm not like a turtle. I don't know how to, like, I can exist. Turns out I didn't. I did not know. But, so he was like, we'll just go to a French job that he had, and I think it was like Longhorn. I know it's Longhorn. I go by that fucking place every day. Not every day, but like I go by it. Anyways, so we went to meet his friend, and we went to like get drinks afterwards. And I'm not a big drinker. Pause. I'm still not a big drinker now, but I wasn't a big drinker at all. Like, like if I drink, you can visibly see in my face that like I'm not a drinker. I'm a stoner. You know, I don't care. Like, it is what it is. 2022, I don't give a shit. But I do drink a little more often now because crossfadedness is this shit sometimes. Although it's funny. After meeting them, that's when I started like realizing you can drink till it hurts. Oh my god! Like, there's been moments I've woken up. Like, it's fun story times. Oh my god, I'm gonna do story times eventually. But let me get back to the topic. I can do what the fuck I want. It's my video, my channel. I don't care. But we met his friend, and his friend was very nice, and he was a Cancer, which is like annoying, but also very fun. And I always have the best sex with Cancers, if I'm being honest. No, I have the best sex with Virgos because they just seem to like me. But anyways, so we ended up like having a thing, and by thing I mean like a very drunk one night stand, an amazing one. But hey, whatever. If he's watching, he fucking knows who this is, okay? But we had a cool one night stand, and then like, in a weird way, and the reason why I tell you this backstory is only because like it really does matter. So like, in a weird way, we ended up like playing husband and wife for like 2 weeks, and just kind of like sporadically just fucking and chilling and smoking and cooking and blah blah blah. Like, there was a moment I was sitting on the couch and like we were like drinking tea together, and then he had a dog. I didn't have a dog at the time, but he had a pit bull. He has a pit bull named Zeus, who is the fucking best. And that's when I was like, yeah, I mean, I always like I never got into the Pitbull thing, but I get it. But like, y'all, he was so, I still miss that little buddy, okay? I gotta go back over his house eventually. But anyways, so, yeah, we slept together. I ended up playing husband and wife for like 2 weeks, and then came around Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day, because he was promising me all this shit. And mind you, he's actually 11 years older than me, so it's not like we could, and as a child, I'm like, which isn't anything wrong. It's just that, like, looking back, it was like, boy, what were you getting yourself into? Age is just a number, lifestyle is just a lifestyle, but like, still, like, my spirit guide would definitely tell me. Like, there was moments where I was like, Spirit, show me a sign if he's the one, and my spirit would be like, he's not the one. And I'd be like, did you say he's the one? They'd be like, it's not the one. And I'm like, you say he's half the one? And Spirit's like, but you asked for a sign? I'm telling you. And I'm like, well, we've already fucked him, so. And Spirit's like, whatever, fine, deal with it. And I dealt with it, and it sucked because I realized something. He highlighted something in me that I never. So if you don't have a tarot reader, sometimes I'm just playing with cards, and funny, the Lovers in reverse, hilarious as I tell this fucking story. And the King of Cups, because he was a Cancer and very emotional, and he had very good control over his emotions, which, this is so crazy. This is just odd, but like, and then the is this the 7 of Cups? 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups. He walks away from it. So that was definitely, wow, Spirit, see? Fucking telling you. Anyways, so, this is why I love tarot cards, by the way. I have an obsession with them. And I mean, I have a reading channel. And I was dead ass. I was the Queen of Pentacles. I had a lot going for me, but it was in the midst of said relationship. Situationship, really. I definitely lost myself and lost track of my goals, and I got kind of behind on some shit. And like, hence, if you haven't seen the video from previous, like 2 videos ago, yeah, I got my car repossessed for like 3 days. And like, part of that problem stemmed from that one, because I was definitely like, I lost track, sis. I did. There's a lot of cards coming out that's like indicative to the story. And it's funny because it feels like Spirit's telling a story while I'm telling the story. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's part. I started like slacking off and be like, I can pay it later, and I can do this later, and I can do that later. But like, something that got highlighted afterwards. So we ended up like, going forward, if I were Valentine's Day, I kind of was like, what are we? What are we? Like, what's the status? And he was like, nothing. And I was like, what do you mean nothing? Like, you played husband and wife. I let you lick me on a, like, what do you mean? And, unfortunately. So it was sucky. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Do you mean like it didn't mean anything? And he's like, not that it didn't mean anything, but like, it wasn't what you thought it was. And I was like, we cut, like, what are you talking about? We cuddled. Like, you made me food from your job. Like, you risked your job for me, which was a lot, low-key. So, I just, it's the same fucking card that keeps coming out. What the fuck? It was very annoying at the time, because I was like, I was heartbroken. I cried. Like, and that's something, because, like, it was also, like, a couple lessons I got taught in one. And one of them was that I'm very, like, in touch with my emotional body, but it's also very much so guilt attached to it in feeling emotions, and that, like, was always kind of there. And it stemmed from my childhood, too, for sure, because I was always, like, made to feel guilty for, like, having emotions, which is so odd, but we look back and learn that we got through it for reasons. But yeah, so I actually was like, so we ended up kind of just like, I wouldn't say breaking up. I would say breaking up. These niggas never like wife me. We never date. We never like do anything. It's just kind of like fucking and then attachments, which was something that kind of happened. So we had this heart to heart, and it was the first time someone ever kind of like told me about myself that made sense and listen, and I had to listen. Because I definitely was like, because at first I was like, I'm just gonna hope, because I think I would go into another, this situation highlighted so much for me, it was so odd. So another thing I realized is that I have a tendency to go into situations with a theory and idea that isn't true or doesn't exist because I made it up and have stuck with it and like fumed it. Like you fuel it the more you think about it. You know what I'm saying? You fuel an idea the more you think about it, for sure. And so I would fuel these ideas that just don't exist. And that is also something I did with that relationship. When I say relationship, it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be romantic or it can be platonic or whatever the fuck it is. Whatever this mess was, it'll be that, okay? But it was a relationship. A relationship is just things you have with people. It's really funny. I thought I couldn't shuffle because of the finger thing. I'm not making it. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, I thought it was 9 of Cups. I have two different decks. Let me shuffle for a different deck. I was like, the 8 of Cups comes out of this one, I'm gonna fucking like freak. Oh, I did it wrong way. Okay, sorry. But I went in a situation having an idea and thinking about a storyline before it happened. And then I tried to force the relationship into the storyline and it didn't fit. And I was like, I don't know how many times I've done that, because I was like, have I always done that? And yes, I fucking have always done that. So he told me, he was like, when he looked at me, he was like, when we were talking, like on his porch or whatever, and he asked me, he was like, well, 2 things. He asked me a really important question, and it was, looking at yourself as an introvert is something I can do easily, but like sometimes it's a little hard, bitch. And some of these questions he was asking me was very like cringy, and I think I was like, fuck, because the first time I had to actually look at myself. If I wanted to heal from love and learn to find the right one, I definitely had to address some of the shit he was saying. And some of the shit he was saying, and because I'm young, and I'll admit that sometimes I can get very like, Scorpio Sun, Aries Moon, honey, I can get very passionate and very emboldened, okay? Very quickly, and it becomes very difficult for me to listen to what people have to say. But in this instance, I realized I couldn't go forward doing that, because like, life. Like also, like if you want results, you have to listen and get true criticism. So he asked me a question that was very cringy and I didn't think about it. He was like, what are you looking for in me that you can't give to yourself? And I was like, dick, obviously. And then I realized, I was like, that's like, I mean, I didn't say that, but I paused and I was like, and can you gonna give me that? Because like, I still have a dildo. Oh, that was good, dude. Not the point. But I had to sit there for a minute and I was like, and he was like, yeah, you gotta answer that for yourself. He was like, because then he made a good point. He did he was like, I told you who I was. That was me, dead ass. This kind of just literally flew out of the deck. That was me in the situation. I could always leave in the situation when it happened. I could always leave, but it was very difficult for me to, because I trapped myself in a way by playing this role that never existed. I played the role because I wanted to be it so badly, but it never existed as an actual role for me to play. Because he told me firsthand, he did in the first couple of days, he was like, he gave me a list of all his flaws and addictions. I'm not even gonna do that, like, that's not the point. But he told me, I remember one conversation, we were in the bed cuddling, and he dead ass told me, he was like, I'm a bad dude. And I was like, I remember physically looking at him and going, it's okay. I can save you. I was like, y'all, I thought shit was so romantic. So romantic. Doves in my head. Looking back, when I first looked back, like coming to terms, I was like, how did you? Why did you? But it's okay, because I learned not to beat myself up over stuff like that, because it's a healing experience. It's the same way I did, like, I was gonna say this, I keep wanting to say his name so bad, but the same way I did, like, my ex. Was that even an ex? Because he was technically a situationship. It was just kind of like, I ended up being together for 2 months. I'll say my twin flame, because I don't even say my twin flame, I don't know, just old dude before this. I dated this guy last year who, like, realized that he, like, same situation. I kind of like get myself in these situations where like, oh my God, I don't know, because he was different, because he definitely like played a part for a while and then he got tired of it. And then I was like, kind of left there like, what the fuck? But anywho, so me and said friend had this heart to heart. That was one of the deepest questions he asked. He was like, you know, what are you trying to get from me that you can't give to yourself? And then, I forgot what the other question was. It was super like, I wasn't the question, it was a statement he kind of made. He was like, I forced him to be somebody he wasn't, because and I was like, no, I didn't, but I kind of did. In that instance, like, in the same way he portrayed this, because he did portray this image of innocence onto me that never existed either. It was just something he wanted. He was something that he was just attracted to as a divine masculine part, but I don't even divine, as a masculine person. And I think that's something I give off to, is this innocent vibe where people just, or men specifically, just want to corrupt me in a way, if that makes sense. And most good girls know what I'm talking about. Like, they just want like, ooh, you're such a good girl, you're so innocent, and they just like they can fix everything with their dick. Low key, it's a trope that exists, and it's like, child, go sit down somewhere. But yeah, so I was like, oh fuck, like, do I do this? Are these actions that I actually take in relationships? Do I force people to be something they're not? I'm like, and I'm always like, no, I tell people they can be themselves and so on and so forth and blah, blah, blah. And like, I do, but I also don't, because I had to realize that like, it just made me realize that I had to look at my own flaws in relationships for fucking once. And not in the way that I used to do it before, but like actually coming in from a different perspective and seeing how would someone else dating me feel dating me? You know what I mean? Like, what do they see? And I think a lot of people don't look at that, and sometimes it's hard, especially with really high egos, to break down that kind of thought process, or break down that, because a lot of times you want to go like, no, like, it's them, not me. And like, for sure, no, like, for sure, like, there's definitely instances where like, nah, it's just them, bitch. Like, but there are other instances that I think don't get looked upon, and that's the fact that like, we have to look at ourselves. And I never really looked at myself in a way that not in the depth that like it would have changed in any way, but like I really had to do it. And I was like, it was one of the most cringiest things. Like, and I'm not just saying that as like, ew, I have feelings. Like, it was gross, because I was like there were a couple times I was like looking in the mirror and I was like, am I this bitch? Am I this bitch? Like, what? I thought, like, am I this bitch? Like, am I forcing niggas to be something? I'm like, oh, they tell me I'm changing them. I'm like, but yeah. And so I did have to look at myself for a minute, but it was very hard. So being that it was very hard, I didn't get to like certain depths. I mean, I went to very extreme depths, but like there were still places that I definitely went that was like, nah, like I'll come back to that later. And then my gods blessed me with a dog. So his friend, I don't want to say his name, but I'll like it's just hard to like try to like get stories out without mentioning the name. I'm trying to like, we'll call him like, no, because even the name I was going to use is someone else I'm probably going to use in the story time too. Also, now that I'm going through names, I fuck too many people with J names. Like, wow. And then some I don't even fuck. I just kind of talk to, what are J's? And is J's a certain like category of people? Like, or just Teddy, or like Teddy, but like, oh god, now I'm looking through a coof of names. Okay. But yeah, so I got his friend had like who did cocaine together with him. Okay. Anyways, so his friend like had a dog who obviously had puppies, and I was like, oh well, it was $40. I was like, and like, he was like, yeah, it's like $40 and we just really need to get him, out. And I was like, Spirit, like, are you trying to say get a dog? And Spirit was like, we literally put it here in front of you. Get the fucking dog. So, he had like a litter of dogs, and I always wanted a black dog. And I again can show you where I manifested this, like in an actual journal. And I showed my friend. I gotta go back through it. It's in the journal's like somewhere in my like plethora of fucking boxes of notebooks that I will show y'all one day. I write a lot. One day I want to write a novel. I have like 4 ideas. 2 I've already started. One I want to become a movie franchise. Get there one day. Yeah, I was like, oh, I want a black dog, and I wanted a boy dog. Okay, you see, we're going with the story. I wanted a boy dog, and look, fast forward 5 months later, she's a girl. But hey, we learn. We live and we learn. Nobody knew, and he brought him to me. Her. I mean, I was like, what the fuck? And that's not important, but like, y'all, for 4 months, I thought my dog was a whole ass male. She had a lot of blue shit, and look, there were total signs of like her being a girl. And then sometimes I would like, to the point where like, I think her first collar I like kind of designed. I like edited it, and some of the thing came off, and like I edited it because I got it from the dollar store. And when I did it, it looked kind of feminine, and I was like, oh, well, it's okay. Turns out it is. It's okay. But now that she's a girl, like, she was always, but like, I just like to decorate in the prettiest of colors because I'm such a dramatic bitch, okay? She's a special little girl. And she's special for a lot more reasons than she realizes. Realizes. That's funny. Anywho, when I got the dog, she was very quiet, very just like withdrawn, I would say. And this is my first time owning a dog. This is the first time owning a dog primarily by myself, for sure. But it wasn't the first time I actually had I grew up with dogs in my life. I had 2 before I left. And before I got this one, the reason I had to get this one, because I went to my parents' house and I was like, hey, because we had 2 dogs, but like one of them was very like close in relationship with me. Like one was specifically like, I was told that the dog was gotten in my favor, so why wouldn't I? But anyway, we had a very close relationship, and actually, it was the dog was, y'all, I basically trained that fucking dog because that dog was very vastly different from the one we had before. Still have, they're still both alive, but like, other one, it's just, anyway. So I went back and I was like, hey, can I have the dog? Pure like bravery, because I was a brave bitch. Okay, I was trying. I and a few me didn't do that. But my dad was like, no, like, we can't just give you the dog. And I was like, you absolutely can't just give me the dog, but that's fine, whatever. So he was like, why don't you just get a dog of your own? So I was like, and then this happened. So I was like, cool. So I took it, and I remember, so after I got Onyx, after like 3 hours, it was funny. I brought her to work with me like a whole week, if I'm not mistaken. Like, and then like to the point, I think, so it wasn't until like somebody made a reference, and then like, they looked on the camera one day and they were like, what the fuck? Listen, when you a parent, you do what you do. You gotta do what you do, okay? Dog daddy, real daddy, you do what you do. Okay, so, it was like 3 days though into it. Oh no, it was 3. I didn't wear it for 3 days because I remember after that, I had a day off and 2 days off in a row, and I used this time to get, to know my dog better. Anyways, so I had like 3 days into having the dog, I started like panicking, and let me tell you why. So I was like, oh my God, the dog has not like kissed me, nothing, showed any affection. Mind you, 2 months old, so not like, but my other puppy was very happy. The ones I had prior was very happy, and I got him when he was pretty tiny, yeah. But she wasn't like responding in the way that I would have liked, and I was like, oh my god, like I was like, oh my god, she hates me. Like she doesn't like me. She doesn't, reciprocate the same emotion I'm giving. I think she just, I was like, maybe, and I'm not retarded. I'm not stupid. I was like, maybe it's just the fact that like, I did just pull her, she got pulled away from her litter of like siblings. I'm like, that could play a part, but hey, panicking me, this is why we love growth, because even looking back just 5 months ago, I was such a different 4 months ago. I got her in February. 4 months ago. What? 3 months ago. Have I got her only for 3 months? It seems longer than that. God, this bitch has gotten big in 3 months. Yeah, because it definitely happened Valentine's Day. Oh, it was mid-month, so like it was definitely probably 3.5 months. So I would say 4 months. 4 months ago. Different bitch from 4 months ago. Okay, that took a minute. But I was worried. I was like, maybe she doesn't like me. Maybe she won't like me. Maybe she's angry at me at the fact that like I, pulled her away. Cause dogs have emotions too. Okay. I was like, she's probably angry at me for, taking her away from her family and so on and so forth. And that was my first experience at having this dog actively highlight something in me that I did not recognize in myself. So I remember I was on my way home and my intuition was like, and I started going back in my head thinking about that shit again. And my intuition was like, stop, think about this for a second. And I was like, think about what? Like, think about this. Like, what are you thinking about right now? And I was like, oh my God, this dog hates me. Like, da da da. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is how I panic in relationships. I did it because somebody else highlighted this specific aspect in me in a previous relationship, and it was, I don't say his name, but his name is Justin. But like, it is what it is. But I don't think. I mean, anyone, whatever. Because I'm not gonna say last name. Whoa. I think I'm channeling by accident. Anyways, because that's the second time it's come out with. That's the second time the word has come out with a different accent. Very much so Irish too, but that happens more often than you think. It sounds weird. Yeah, so he was also one that highlighted that aspect of me, and it was like, I was like, because he was like, you panic a lot, and I was like, I do not. But I mean, as an empathic person and someone who feels, I do think my panicking is somewhat valid because of my concern of how deeply I can feel for others. So like, I feel when moods change, when there's different, I can hear tone. I'm such a clear audience, so I can hear tones that matter more to me than most other people. I definitely feel when the moods change, or when your emotion has changed, or when another emotion has entered your energy field. It's something just easy. I've done it all my life. To me, I mean, I used to think it was crazy, but like now that I can address it and understand what it is, it's definitely something that's there. Plus, my intuition is always fucking in relationships, and although looking back, another thing that highlighted for me was that I lose myself in relationships so much, and that's where it would start. Me panicking when I don't get that reciprocation in relationships that I imagine, and I would say part of that is I imagine it, yes, but it should also be there. You should also not have to crave security and comfort, because it should be there in the relationship. I mean, of course, it has to be built, but at the same time, I was like, wow, do I panic this? I can't believe I panic this much in relationships. And I was like, oh my God, I definitely have a tendency to start worrying when someone doesn't tell me how they feel and blah, 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 and all this other stuff, right? So it wasn't until later that I discovered love languages, and I was like, oh my God, this is something that's also fucking important. And I go back to the fact that knowledge is power. So if you don't know, you won't be able to utilize those tools in relationships to help you further. But that was the first time that my dog had made me realize, all she had to do was sleep. That kind of helped me realize oh my God, this is something that I need to fix, something I need to address at the very least. And so therefore, I decided to start using my dog to highlight parts in me that that I adore, parts that I don't like, but in order to hone in on the actual aspects of which I love. You know what I mean? Like, how do I love others versus just how they, because I want people to love me for sure, but like, how do I love others? And is the way that I love others inviting enough or supportive enough for that type of love that I want to myself? And then still going back to whatever, Jarvis's question on like, what was I looking for in others to heal myself that I just could not do myself? You know what I mean? Like, what is it that I wanted this man to do that I couldn't do for me? And so that was the first one. The second time was when, y'all, I don't abuse my dog, but like I was like beating the hell out of her. Not like beating the hell, but she would like chewing on my shit. And like one time, like to the point now, she knows that she ever chews on something, she'll like go in her cage and she'll put her paws up, which is like, which is not funny, but like also funny because there's a new Elmo show and I'm gonna watch it. I don't give a damn. But yeah, she'll like put her paws up, and I'm like, that's not. I was like, damn, you a traumatized bitch. But I did realize that I was also, that was at one point when I realized, I don't think it was. I don't think it was true that she tweeted my Margaret. It was something else. It was something else. What was it? It was like, oh, it was her going to the bathroom on my floor. That's what it was. And the reason why that's such an important thing, because like I was so irritated at the fact that I would like put the pad, but she would like go into the living room and do it, and I'd be like, you. It's like you waited, and I felt like you were doing it on purpose. I felt like she was doing it on purpose. I was like, what the fuck? And then she peed on my bed twice, and I had to like completely wash sheets more than I ever wanted to. Like, stood at the edge of the bed and just peed. I was like, I know that the access to God I need now is much different than before. But yeah, so I definitely hit her. I definitely like spanked her. I don't say spanked her because I feel like if you say hit a dog, you're like, that's abuse. And she's fine, okay, relax. But I definitely did spank her. But then I remember like one time I was about to hit her so hard. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was like, whoa. The reason I was whoa because it was like, I had not experienced that amount of immense anger in such a long time that I was like, that seems like that would hurt me later in relationships. Like, if I don't, because I noticed that I didn't speak upon things that made me uncomfortable and speak upon things that would make me feel like irritated, like, and it just bothered. Like, I always felt like being, because I felt like if I spoke upon something that was bothering me, then that would end any relationship I'd ever be in. You know what I mean? Like, my concerns would be just enough to break it all up. And I'm like, which isn't healthy, because you should feel more than comfortable to express your concerns to somebody if it's a boundary for you. Which also, your nigga didn't know boundaries, so that was the thing. But nevertheless, I was like, I need to address this too. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ. The third time it happened was the marker thing. And I had, because I draw, and I'm very artistic, so I have a lot of hobbies and stuff like that. And one of them is drawing. And decorating stuff. I do make my own, I think I was making my own Oracle deck at the time. I'm still in the midst of doing it. But yeah, so like, I remember I left the markers on the table, and it was, I went to do something. Oh, I went to go do deliveries one night, and I put her in the cage. And her cage is like a zip-up cage. And I didn't know that if she hits it hard enough or like scratches at it hard enough, she can very much so widen the two zippers and then do the rest herself. And she basically got out the cage and chewed up a good significant amount of my markers. Okay, so I say significant, but like in all reality, it was like 8. 6 of them didn't care about. The other 2 very much so, like, was the 2, like, she chewed up my hot magenta, and then if I didn't go work on ER, like, on the marker, I don't think I would ever saved it. Like, I was ready to get that dog back after that. I was like, because you know what I'm saying, I take a lot of things that I have seriously. My possessions are my possessions, and like, I. 2, also the fact it's also raising. No, this is a good point. So it felt like I was raising. It feels like raising a fucking child, because I was like, I can just like give her back. And I was like, this is bad. Like, that's when you have to. So shout out to parents. Because I think raising. This is why I think raising a dog should be something you should do first, before just raising kids. You know what I'm saying? Because it definitely, like, shout out to them, because it definitely had to realize, like, what I love more, these markers or my baby. And it was like you take a deep breath and you're like, my baby, because I can only buy marker, but I can't replace this beautiful, devilish soul of mine who just loves to chew my shit. But one thing, like, I was like spanking her, and like I realized I was like, I don't know if it was like right then. I think it was something like, it was a comment I think I heard in like a video or something, but like I want to say that like I really did, but it was at this moment I stopped and I was like, oh my god, I'm low key my mother. And the reason why that like hit me so hard is because I realized that like one of my parents' biggest like pain in the asses moments for me was that I think, and this happens a lot in like Black culture, but like I think a lot of times when parenting, a lot of parents expect the child to understand things that haven't been taught, and like you put upon these children adult qualities that don't exist yet, because you can't expect a child, like, people get angry when a child like doesn't know how to be quiet, but like is a child, they're not gonna know, like, they're not what's indicative to different places and how to like decorum and how to do this. You know what I'm saying? That have to be taught. And as a parent, you have to teach them those things. They simply the fact they just rely on you. Who else is going to do it? Actually, that's a lie. Other things can do it, but like you should do it because you're the parent. And it was that moment I realized she doesn't know not to chew. Oh, it was a comedy. I'm sorry. I'm thinking. It was a comedy bit that like somebody was like, oh, yeah, they made a joke about a dog, and then they were like, they were like, what did they say? I was like, I see a shoe, but my dog sees a chew toy, and I was like, duh, perspective. I've never thought the perspective from a dog. I don't know why I was trying to expect her to understand that you can't chew my stuff, because she doesn't understand the relationship I have with those markers. Shut up. And she doesn't understand that these are my things, and I had the different type of care that I have for these things. She just sees it as a chew toy. It truly was that, and I was like, fuck. And I was like, damn. From her perspective, she just chewed a chew toy, and I'm beating at her. So I definitely had to like look and be like, hey, oh my god, if I don't teach her to do the right thing, she's going to continue to do the wrong thing in my eye, and it would just be an endless cycle of punishing her for something she doesn't understand. One of the problems I think also stressed me at the time was she wouldn't sit when I told her to sit, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And I would like also spank her whenever she wouldn't do it. But I also had to learn, one, that positive reinforcement is how you get someone to do something, especially adolescents, versus negative reinforcements. Number one. Number two was, I realized that having this dog could also highlight in the way that I would address children if I ever had them. When I have them. I want children. But like, when I have them, how would I handle things like this? How would I handle my children not listening or not understanding me? And it's like, oh my God. And that's one of the issues I had with my parents growing up. And I was like, oh my God, as much as I would hate to recreate that, and I have worked on not recreating that, I would have been recreating that subconsciously, not like never addressing it, would have created a problem where I would do to my kids would have been done onto me, and that would have been fucking terrible. So I was like, not me realizing that I'm just like my mother. Like, I was like, oh child. It was just very. Those are like, I mean, there's more lessons I get every day with her, and more important lessons I've got prior, but I can't fit them. But the video have to end sometime, okay? So this could be like one part, but I'll address it more problems later. But we'll just speak upon these for right now. So it was very jarring to look at those, like just those three aspects of myself, and be like, the way that I love is at the moment flawed. Like, it isn't perfect. I always thought I was giving perfect love and people were just hurting me, and it's true. I do have a healing quality, and there are different reasons why signs come into your life, and I always tell people, when a Scorpio enters your life, you now have a part of yourself that needs to be killed off. I promise you. Like, I'm gonna get into, I can make a video about that later, but each sign has a reason they're in your life, and they support you with their energy. Like, a sign embodies a different energy that is important for your life, whether it's a lesson for right now, a lesson for later, or maybe to support you. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, to love you and care. But each person and everything you go through is a lesson, and it helps you become the next and better version of yourself. That's what growth is. But in order to learn those lessons, you have to introspectively look at yourself. And and having even the situation with Jarvis, and then Onyx, like, as teaching me about different things, I think it was very much so intense for number one for me, because I'm a Scorpio. I want to go through intense shit all the time. But it was also very much so, like, really relieving, because it was like, oh, like, this is the part I never looked at. This is the part that's hurting me. And so I do thank Spirit a lot for that, because I think it was like the first time, like, I got a lesson in real time. Like, never, like, I mean, I look back on all my relationships, and the more I get onto this series, like, you'll hear about them and understand them a lot better. But, like, this was the first time for me that really cemented, like, and cemented and highlighted the parts that, like, I needed to grow. And when I say cemented it, I specifically mean the fact that, like, it really, like, it drove it home. Like, it was definitely something that I kind of came up in terms earlier, in different situations, but none had occurred. Like, the way it occurred, like, definitely, like, it was the first time it was like, no, this right here is something you need to work on. It was the first time I saw it as an actual responsibility, not just an action. Like, it was a responsibility for me as a person to go after what I want. And in order to go after what I want, I had to address what I was doing wrong. Like, and it's not easy. It wasn't easy. It's still not, because I'm still learning that different things that I do aren't the best. But I don't beat myself up over it anymore. I just understand that I'm learning and growing, and then it's all fair for me to go ahead and learn that. But having this dog really started this journey for me, especially because I decided to, like, not use her, but, like, to have it help me highlight different ways that I was flawed, and different ways that, like, I needed to grow, like, as a person, and as a person who wants to be loved. And the best part about having this happen is that dogs, again, give the most unconditional love. So not only was it teaching me about different parts that I needed to, like, address, but it was also teaching me in the weirdest way to truly be able to accept unconditional love. Like, for example, a lot of times she would wake me up in the morning by, like, kissing my face, and I'd be like, no, like, please, that's so annoying. But, like, what if like I had a boyfriend who wanted to do that? Like, is it a, you know what I'm saying? I have to address it. I have to look at it and be like, is it a boundary? Is it something I'm just uncomfortable with? Like, what's the issue? And I realized that like, I don't have an issue with it whatsoever. And I also realized like, oh God, this dog helped me realize, dog also helped me realize how much I was being burned out and how much I would burn myself out trying to accomplish goals that never made any sense. But yeah, just she taught me how to truly accept the fact that like something can be there to love you regardless of what you do. There's no judgment from a dog. There's no, and I say dog because because I have a dog, but it can be any animal: snake, lizard, pet. By the way, here on this channel, we love snakes. Okay, I don't have a pet snake. I don't think I'll ever have a pet snake, but like I have been around people who have pet snakes, and snakes are not that bad. I think I live in a country where like people in the country, so I live in like low country, low key, but where people just like every time they see a snake. I remember like we had a snake in my dad's house, and I was like, you gotta like take a hoe, which is the funniest tool in the world, and chop his head off. And I was like, or you put it in a box, slide the box down the driveway, and put it back into the grass. But like, that's just a side note. You can't stand snakes, I'm a problem. As long as they on a plane, we ain't got a problem, okay? But I think I will continue using like my dog to help me highlight different things because it's helping me grow. It actually is helping me grow, and I feel more comfortable now addressing different things. Like we just started training. I started training her to be around people more. She's always, she's around people, but like she's very friendly. But like sometimes I need her to learn that like, bitch, they're just white folk. Calm down. Like you can still walk. Like, but one of the lessons. But I'm learning that I know now that I have to be the one to teach her. She can't just learn that on her own. Child, someone has to like guide her. It has to be the person with opposable thumbs on a car. So can't be her, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, in conclusion, one, I appreciate y'all listening because I usually have notes. I'm starting to like mostly get notes and I'll like organize them, but I was kind of going on a whim on this one because again, middle of video, just decided to do it, okay? I don't think I'm gonna post this one. I think I'm gonna edit the one later. I might turn that into something else. So this is episode 1 of Journey of Love. And as most things that start on this channel, I usually start by rambling and then I end up guiding a little bit later. Feel free to check out my tarot channel too. John Tarot. I'm trying to change it to make it look similar to my channel now. Where we read cards. I'm just getting back into it again. I haven't done it in a minute. I'm going back from collectives. So like I'm starting with collectives and then going into like personal, because I want to do like also pick a cards. I'm not done pick a card. I want to do pick a cards. I want to do the zodiac readings each sign, but like we gotta start slow because we're not gonna drain myself before we get there. Okay, pacing, bitch. I thought the pacer test is really weird. That's only because I'm clairaudient and I heard the beep. If y'all ever done the pacer test in middle school, high school, or wherever, that beep kind of sticks with you, and the ones that get it, okay? One. I'm sorry, I really heard that. Okay. But yeah, so if you're gonna check out my tarot channel, I will probably be posting more on this channel than anything. And you'll probably get more frequent videos because I have a lot more to talk about now. So you see, I'm kind of excited about it. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. She just woke up. I'm about to cook a steak, so she about to be mad because I'm not sharing it, okay? Make sure I have a piece. But I'm sorry, I keep rambling on. I am going to head out, and we will see you later. Thanks.